Hey guys and gals of Vainglory, this is Gadienton from Broken Myth, and I have quite the treat to share with you today. There's a new hero on the horizon. Let me introduce you to Celeste, a new mage hero for Vainglory that leverages the power of stars to do powerful bursts of crystal damage. Over the next several minutes, I'll be giving you in-depth details on her abilities, potential strategies and tactics, as well as showing some gameplay footage so you can see how she operates in real-world scenarios. If we're lucky, all of the information I'm about to share with you will remain the same when Celeste is released. However, I'm expecting that probably a few things will change. That being said, let's begin by looking at her heroic perk and other statistics, and then we'll move on to each of her abilities. Her heroic perk is called Julia's Light, which is named after her beloved deceased mother. It does two key things. First, it turns her basic attacks into crystal damage, which scales with 50% of her crystal power. In other words, for every 2 points of crystal power, her basic attacks will do 1 additional point of damage. The second part is that her basic attacks reveal enemy heroes for 1.5 seconds, even after they leave vision range. So, if you're chasing a hero who runs into a bush, you won't lose sight, making it easier to chase. Additionally, if you're playing against a Taka and are able to land a basic attack on him before he gets into his box, you'll be able to keep sight on him for a short while after, allowing you or a teammate to finish him off or knock him out of his box by landing another attack or ability. Last but not least, since her basic attacks are crystal damage, that means her basic attacks will be influenced by items that have effects on crystal damage, such as Eve of Harvest, which makes it so that 25% of your crystal damage will count as lifesteal. So, her basic attacks will gain 25% lifesteal as a result. As of right now, Frostburn also causes her basic attacks to slow opponents' movement speed, but this is currently under review and may not survive until her release. Now do keep in mind that she does have a very short attack range. This isn't meant as a bad thing, I think it's meant as more of a balancing thing because her other abilities, which we'll be showing later, will definitely compensate for this. Now do keep in mind she's a mage hero, so her base hit points are awfully low in the grand scheme of things, but this is to be expected. If you combine armor and shield values with the health value, you can create a new value called effective hit points. And essentially, if you look at the effective hit points of Celeste at level 1, she's very comparable to a Scarf, and at level 12, very comparable to a Petal. Nonetheless, simply be careful when you're out and about and not be caught out of position. Celeste's first ability, Heliogenesis, creates a small star that does a little bit of AoE damage in the spot where it spawns. However, after it spawns, it lingers around for about 7 seconds. During that time, if you place a star on top of another star, it turns into a supernova, which does about twice the radius and also about 20% more damage. What's even nicer about this ability is that both the cooldown and the energy cost are very conducive to a spammable playstyle, so continue to use this as often and frequently as you want. Last but not least, the overdrive for Heliogenesis, which is not displayed here, is an increase of the range from 7 up to 9. So you'll notice in the following footage how that range can really have a severe impact. First, let's see how Supernova works. She drops one star on top of the tower, and she drops another one on top of it and causes a much larger explosion, and then once again she's going to do the same thing. Now notice, she's doing 3 things at the same time with these little explosions. She's farming by killing the lane creeps, she's damaging the enemy laner who is the Saw, and she's damaging the tower, all with these supernovas. And she's doing so from a fairly safe distance. Overall, I can only imagine her being a bully in the lane, especially in the early game. Heliogenesis stars also provide a little bit of vision, so this Celeste right here, who's returning from shopping in the jungle, is now able to plant these stars in bushes rather than face checking, so she can safely navigate through the jungle and make sure that there's no one lurking there for her. You can also use Heliogenesis to set up the battlefield, so such as placing stars here in choke points, ready to go supernova at a moment's notice. Additionally, you can use them for zoning. Watch as Ciderhelm uses her ability here to be able to zone the enemy heroes, keeping them at bay for fear of getting harassed. Core Collapse is Celeste's second ability and offers her a little bit of utility. It creates a small area where anybody caught within it gets stunned for 1 second. The overdrive for this ability is a drastically reduced cooldown as well as increasing the stun duration to 1.5 seconds. Now the range of Core Collapse isn't extremely long, so it might be difficult to use it in chasing. However, I could picture it being used very often as a defensive maneuver. Since Celeste is squishy, having something that can stun targets who jump on her would be very useful. Now watch this Celeste very carefully. She's going to place a star right at her feet and she's going to dance around it. The reason being is because she probably expects that the enemy Koshka will try to jump on her, and when she does, she will supernova, drop her stun, and be able to do a massive amount of damage. As another Core Collapse example, watch for the Koshka jumping on the pedal. You see a pink ring form, and after a brief moment, Koshka was stunned. Now, I didn't say it would be impossible to chase, I just said it would be hard to chase with Core Collapse. In this case, she uses her Frostburn to slow down the Saw enough so that she can land that stun and then finish him off.
I am my own North. You are getting ridiculous.
Now for Celeste's ultimate. While the name of the ability is still under review, Solar Storm is the first global ability in Vainglory. In other words, an ability that can be used from across the map. While the lead star will go the length of the entire map, piercing any targets it passes through, the trailing stars will explode upon the first hero, minion, or structure they collide with. All of these stars are unaffected by walls of any sort. This means you could snipe someone from across the map. However, do keep in mind that towers, minions, mines, and other enemy heroes, and even Kraken, could cause your trailing stars to explode before they reach their intended target. Even though it only does 50% damage to non-heroes, I can picture having some fun with it for Goldmine and Kraken steals. Also, this ability does have a short animation during which you can't move or do anything else, so be careful when casting it if you have enemies right in your face. Lastly, to get the most mileage out of her ultimate, I believe that map awareness will be key. Proper usage of scout traps and flares will help immensely, and doing so will enable you to assist your teammates from afar to turn around a fight or help finish off a fleeing opponent. Probably the most common usage I picture for Solar Storm will be finishing off fleeing opponents, such as this Saw who is trying to get away with just a sliver of life. In this next example, notice how Celeste uses Arden's ultimate to her maximum benefit. She steps just outside the range of the gauntlet, so she has plenty of opportunity to cast her ultimate, and is now able to step in and finish them off. Of course, you can always try to maximize the number of star collisions by trying to cast Solar Storm at point-blank range, much like this Celeste is doing here. Well, I hope after watching this video, you are as excited about Celeste as I am. Additionally, if you found this video useful and informative and you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, as an additional resource, please visit brokenmyth.net.